Hey guys, I had a request to do a video on my dip powder manicure technique, whatever. So I figured I would give this a try. Thought maybe it was easiest to start off with some of the products and tools you'll need, my favorites. I did when I started with the Nail Boo, what is it, a starter kit that comes with your brush, build powder, and then some colors, and then they do come with a set of the liquids. However, I found their liquids are kind of hard to work with. So I did some experimenting and found Saviland, and I absolutely love them. They also generally come with a couple of additional brushes, which is nice to have too, especially for that top coat, because that top coat is really difficult to work with sometimes. So much so that I saved my Nail Boo ones just to have some more extras. Beyond that, you're going to want a really good stiff file, very coarse for shaping the nails once you have the product on. This one's a little softer. I like it just for kind of, buffing out those rough edges. Tools that I kind of like having on hand, this one and this one, both for kind of helping to clean up those cuticles. And then I do like having some additional files in case I need them. Afterwards, cuticle oil. This one is a Jamberry one. It's pretty high in scent. I'm not so sure I like that, but I had it, so I'm using it. And then a nail drill, which is not absolutely necessary. However, I really like having mine. It makes removal much easier. And then also cleaning up those nail beds if you're not a very steady applicator. This kit though, with the nail drill bits, is one of the better and cheaper ones that I found. These three on the end are especially nice. You can use those directly on the skin to clean up that nail bed. And I really do not recommend using these sandpaper barrel covers for removal. They heat up really fast and can hurt your nails. Instead, I did find this amazing little bit. This one comes from Kiara Sky Nails. This one's slick. This one's super slick for removing product. So anyway, that is what I start with. I do like the Nail Boo powders, and I really like the way they work with the Saviland liquids. All right, let's get started. So I'm gonna pull up a seat. We'll give this a try. I am not a videographer, and I really don't want to be in the video. So first thing you need to do is prep your nails. You need to start with clean, dry nails. Just cut the nail length to approximately the same length. I did have a couple that broke pretty short on my right hand. You don't need to file these, just cut them to the general length. You're going to do the bulk of your shaping once you have some product on. The first thing we're going to be working with is the build powder. That's going to give us a real nice base for our color. It's just a white powder. Oops. So that color can really shine through without any influence of your natural nail bed color. And then we're also going to get the base coat ready. And I also usually loosen the cover on the brush saver also, so that I'm ready to stick any dirty brushes in there. Okay, so for the tutorial purposes, I'm only going to record like doing 1 or 2 nails in each step, and then I will pause it until I get to the next step. So I am opening the base coat here, and I've got my build powder open. So I do like to treat it like any other polish. Try not to get any on your cuticles. It is, getting the angle on it is probably the hardest for me. Just remember that remember that anywhere that you get the liquid, the powder is going to stick. So if you can not get it on the cuticles or on the edge of the nail bed, that is definitely to your benefit. So once you have a coating on there, you're going to simply dip your nail in and hold it there for a few seconds. Let it kind of adhere and soak up into that base coat. And then once it's been in there for maybe 10 or 15 seconds, you'll take it out, tap off any excess, and then you can see how nicely that looks. So that's just going to give you a little bit of a base coat for your color to go on. So I will do one more, and then I will pause the video for a minute until I get to the next step. As thrilling as this is, I'm pretty sure nobody needs to see all 10 fingers done. I think you guys can all get the general gist of things. I do try to make sure that I get the base coat all the way to the tips, and then dip right in. And you want to make sure that entire nail is covered in the powder. And this really does go pretty quickly. I would say the last couple of steps are probably the longest, kind of shaping, cleaning up those edges, and then getting that top coat on is probably the hardest. Okay, now tap it off, and there you go. Okay, so my camera did not turn on when I brushed off my left hand, so I'm going to show you my right. I have dipped that all in the build powder, and now I simply brush off any excess powder with the brush provided by Nail Boo, or I'm sure you can buy one just about anywhere. You can see, just brush off any of that excess. Alrighty, so that is the end of the build powder. Unless you happen to be someone who prefers to put a couple of layers of that on. I personally do not. I prefer to maybe add an extra layer of color instead. So I'm going to put that aside, and then I'm going to continue working to put 2 to 3 coats of color on each nail. I'm still only working with my base coat and then dipping into the color the same way I was into the build powder. The big thing that you're going to want to remember when you're dipping is to dip at approximately a 45-degree angle, and not to press the powder onto the nails. Just let it gently kind of soak in over it, and then tap off any excess when you take it out. And then before starting your second coat, or your next coat, then go ahead and brush off any excess powder with the brush then. Ooh, that looks like it might be slightly more pink than I like, but we'll see. Alrighty, okay people, I chose to put on 3 coats of color this time. More so just because I'm kind of curious if 3 coats will make my manicure last a little longer, or if it'll make any difference at all. Right now, with 1 build layer and 2 color layers, my manicures generally last in between 2 to 3 weeks, depending on what I'm doing. So I'm kind of curious as to how this will go. Tip your brush. If you're finding that like clumps are sticking to it, you're most likely getting your base coat on too thick, and it's not able to dry. So your brush should be able to basically come out pretty clean. If not, or if you do get a little bit of color on it, you can just moisten it with a little bit of water and then brush on a clean towel to get that color off. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. We are also done with the base coat bottle, so I'm going to go ahead and put that off to the side. And now we move on to the activator. We're actually going to do 2 coats of activator. We're going to do the first coat, and then after that we'll start to shape our nails and clean up the cuticles and anything that we've slapped on, which I don't know how well you can see my nails. Maybe this one you can see pretty good. I'm not always the cleanest of people, so I generally have a fair amount of cleanup to do. So do not feel bad if you're not a perfect applicator person, because now is the time that you clean that up and make it look good and everything. So anyway, this brush is typically pretty stiff and hard. When the activator connects with the powder, it hardens. So the nice thing about it is that it really doesn't matter where you get this, you just want to cover the entire nail. So you'll notice the brush is pretty thin. You don't really notice that you've done much of anything with it. I usually make sure that it's soaked pretty good. Make sure you cap the nail so that it gets in there good. And then you're just going to go over each nail like that. Once you've got each hand covered, you're going to wait, I believe it's about 2 minutes or so before you start filing. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this and get this on. I'm going to wait my 2 minutes to let the hardener harden some, and then I will. Okay, folks. So just so you know, I was wrong. It is not 2 minutes. It is 5 minutes that you want to wait on the activator. So now I've waited my 5 minutes and it's time to start shaping the nails. The big thing, I like a squoval, like a square oval shape. So basically I start by kind of breaking free the skin from any excess powder and polish that I've gotten on, which I generally have gotten a fair amount. I was really hoping my camera would focus in a little more. I tried to kind of come up maybe even from behind and do some stuff, but it simply wouldn't. So anyway, bear with me. Clearly I am not an influencer and not a videographer. So anyway, I start by placing along the edge here. You can maybe see where all that extra is a little better against the black like that, but I get it way underneath there, underneath that nail, and I just start kind of bringing down any of that extra. I break it away from the skin. You can see there's a pretty good corner on that one. So I just start shaping. As I go along and get the shape that I want, I fine tune the edges. I'm going to try to just work with one nail for the tutorial, and then I'll pause it for the others. I am even kind of filing the skin, getting some of that extra that's underneath there. It's always kind of funny to me to see that one side is definitely thicker than the other. I'm right-handed, so it goes a little different. You want to for sure get those corners off there, or they will become annoying and they'll hurt your fingers. Once we have this all shaped, then we'll apply another coat, one more coat of activator. That will also sit 5 minutes. You want to be sure when you're applying that to cap the nails. This nail's not too bad along the nail bed, but I'm going to show you anyway what I would do if I had a considerable amount of cleanup to do around the nail bed. Maybe I can kind of do it on the next nail. I know I have some. First of all, get rid of this sandpaper barrel, because that's awful. And I think what I'm going to try is this kind of needle one. I can kind of get under the nail where I've leaked some of the color and whatnot. So I'm going to turn this on. The nice thing about this is, again, it's super gentle. So hopefully you can see this. I can literally just go right on my skin. I can clean up any calluses. I can continue to break free anywhere that maybe it's become like glued to my skin. I can clean up along the nail bed there. Okay. So I can go along here and just really clean up that manicure. So I am definitely not a manicurist. What I do is not perfection, but I try real hard to make it, I guess, something that I can live with, something that looks good and saves me money, and what the heck, I mean, I have nothing else to do since I'm an empty nester, so I may as well hone some other skills. Alrighty, so once you have all of your nails shaped and your nail beds and cuticles all cleaned up the way you want, and they look the way you want them to look, you're going to go ahead and put another coat of activator on. You're going to let that also sit about 5 minutes. And then after that, you're going to wash it with a gentle soapy water. And then wipe it with a lint-free alcohol swab. So you can maybe see this one here is kind of glued to my nail pretty good. Gosh, I hope you can see this. I'm actually going to just start shaping it and getting it away from the skin. And this one I actually did get quite a bit on the other side as well, so I'll just go ahead and work on that one also. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this again. I'm going to work at shaping and cleaning up my nails a bit, and then I'll come back and show you the finished product before I put the next coat of activator on. Let me just reiterate one more time. I am not a nail tech and not a videographer, and I just want to show you, I did use this tool this time to kind of go along the cuticle line here and just make sure that it was broken free so that the nail can grow well while the manicure's on. So I did my shaping, I cleaned everything up, cleaned up all along the entire nail bed line. I washed with soapy water, and now to make sure that I get any soap residue off, I need to wipe with a lint-free alcohol wipe, which I don't necessarily really wipe, I more like dab, because I can't seem to find a lint-free anything. So I use these bad boys. I just realized maybe I was too close to the camera. I use this tool to go along like this. All right, break that cuticle free. All right, so alcohol wipe. Once we're done with the alcohol wipe, then what we're gonna do is the second coat of activator. This will finish hardening because we did some filing. We broke some of those top layers, so we want to make sure that we get another really nice strong coat of activator on there. Once that activator is on, it is going to sit for 5 minutes, and then we get to the really tricky step, which is that top coat. And that is probably the most frustrating layer, is that top coat. What I found the biggest trick is not to worry about the first coat, just get it on. It seems to just be a matter of getting something on that top coat. That brush is really gonna harden fast, so you just kind of gotta get it on. It's when we'll use the brush cleaner. I do sometimes use it sooner, but if everything's going good like it has this time, I haven't needed to. So that's kind of nice. And oftentimes I kind of clean my brushes for a day or so afterwards, because I'll make sure that they're all really good and clean for the next manicure, especially since, that puppy's barking. Especially since I don't, it's not like I do this every day. Lucy! Sorry. Clearly somebody's being a pain. All right, so I got one more hand to do. Wait 5 minutes, and then I'll be back. Okay, so second coat of activator is on. So we are officially done with that. Now we move on to the fun stuff. I just want to make sure that the brush saver is loose, because we will move quickly. And we are moving on to the top coat. You'll notice this brush will probably harden pretty quickly with this first coat. We're not going to worry about it too much. We are literally just going to try to get it on as neatly and as quickly as possible. We're not going to worry that it's not real smooth. The second coat will go on nicer. So I don't even know that I'm going to stop the video. I will just, in editing, probably just kind of stop it, because that's how fast we're going to try to move. I don't want to stop for that. Alrighty, so I don't even think you're going to be, well, I'm going to try to let you see this, I guess. But then I'm going to switch to the edge of the, right, I don't know if you can see this or not. We're not gonna cap it or anything. I'm just gonna try to get a coat on. Like I said, as I start to do these, you should notice the brush starting to harden. Even though that activator has dried underneath, when it comes in contact with this, it definitely still starts to harden. Some other tips: if this is not drying appropriately, if it's gotten on too thick, if it's simply too humid, whatever. The last time I did a manicure, I used my blow dryer, and that worked wonders. Ooh, I can feel it starting to thicken up. The other tip I have is, if you are testing it, do not test it with your fingertip. Instead, use the back side of your finger. And actually, this is not doing too bad here. I'm kind of surprised. So that's awesome, actually. So you can see what a nice gloss we've got on. Now, when I do the second coat, I will try to cap the nails. So I'll try to go along that front edge. Oh yeah, it's starting to harden. You can see that my brush is not spreading quite so nicely. If I can continue to use this one, I will, simply because second brush is going to do the same thing. It's not really going to matter. But I can definitely see that this brush is starting to struggle. It's hardening. It's definitely not doing as well. But that's okay. We're just going to get this coat on, and we're not going to worry. Because that second top coat is going to be the coat that will matter That's going to be the one that's going to even everything out. It's going to really seal up that shine. That brush will not harden because we already have this first coat on. Okay. It's all right, I have a couple more here. So we're down to the last coat. I just want you to know the hardened brush I took out and put into the brush saver right away. Okay, the brush that was in there is this brush. It's a little stiff. What I'll do is I'll rinse that off with water. That's only stiff because of the acetone. I never throw this bottle away. Instead, when it starts to empty, I refill it with 100% acetone. So this is actually a clean brush that I'll rinse off, and then it'll be super nice and soft like that and be real clean. So dirty brush from the first top coat is in the brush saver. We'll let that sit probably until later tonight, and then I'll rinse it, and then I'll put this brush in there. So we're just gonna real quick. When I told you about not touching this way, touch this way. That way you won't put quite so much pressure and leave any fingerprints in there. So this is it, last coat, and we are all done. Here we go, lots of fun, folks, lots of fun. Pretty, pretty nails. If you get anything on your skin, you can go ahead and clean that up, whether it's with a drill bit or a file or whatever. Since this is the final top coat, I do want you to try to cap the nails to kind of seal that in. Okay, so you just kind of run it along that edge. Alrighty. After that, you'll set a timer for another 5 minutes, and then you're done. If you need to do any touch-up with filing, any rough edges, you can go ahead and do that with a finer file. Don't use that black super coarse one. Use something a little finer to kind of smooth things out and make it real nice. Alrighty, that's it. I will post an after picture in the comments. Hope it helps. I guess I should have taken a before, huh?